And welcome to another edition of Coach's Corner here on ColumbusNewsTeam.com, Week 4 of the 2015 high school football season. With me for our opening segment of the show is Columbus High head coach Craig Williams. Coach Williams, thank you as always for stopping in.
And as always, thanks for having me in.
We're glad to have you. We're going to talk some football right now, coming off a loss to Lincoln Northeast in the Hall of Fame game. 0-3 to start the season, but talk about some of the things in that game. You started out very strong. You scored first, and it was kind of the second quarter where things fell apart a little bit for you.
We challenged our kids to come out in the first 10 minutes of that football game and put forth their best effort and see where we stood after that. And to be honest with you, after 10 minutes, we had a 7-0 lead. Our offense had forced a 3-and-out to start the football game after we went 3-and-out. So we did take the football and had a long touchdown drive and jumped up 7-0.
And here is this opening, or one of the first drives of the game, your second drive, I believe. Colton Wolf, who really had probably one of his best games of the season thus far. There was a catch, and then he punches it in right here.
Yeah, Colton really bounced back from having a sore knee the week before up at Norfolk, and Wyatt Alcott filled in admirably up at Norfolk, had a nice game, but we need Colton 100% healthy. We need him to run the football like he did on Friday night, which he's very capable of every night. And he's an excellent receiver out of the backfield, which set up our first score right there. Receiving-wise
against Northeast, they caused a few problems through the air. They're a team that liked to air it out a lot. What was that like for you, and how do you expect that to transition with the upcoming game against Grand Island?
We've seen some teams that really took advantage of the youth in our defensive backfield, and the things we've talked to those guys about is they're no longer they're no longer sophomores and juniors out there. They got 4 games under their belt. They have to learn from their mistakes, and we got to stop making the same mistake and getting beat over the top on those long pass plays.
And again, this was a Hall of Fame game, so it was something they got to play for with all the alumni in town. What was that like after the game, hearing from them? We talked about it before, how it amped them up a little bit and made them proud, to discover pride and all that.
It was a big night, and it was special for those kids to have a chance to play in front of the guys. And effort-wise, I don't think that they disappointed. I mean, they didn't, even though we're down right here at halftime, we forced a big turnover and then come back with a 94-yard drive. And score a touchdown to cut that score to 24-14. But it's after the game, I think we were more focused on Sam Akers and the injury that he faced early in that football game. He's a tough kid, and he made it back out to the field for the end of the game. So the kids were worried about him throughout the game, but after the game, they had a chance to talk to him, and they felt better seeing him out there on his feet, or on one foot anyway. And so that was kind of our focus after the game.
Can you talk about what the injury is for Sam? Is he going to be all right? I mean, back for the season this year?
Yeah, Sam's out for the season. He broke the lower part of his leg, and it was pretty severe. He ended up having surgery yesterday morning. I talked to Sam and his parents. Surgery went very well. He's going to have a lengthy recovery process here, but the doctors are optimistic he'll be back on the field next year for his senior year.
All right, and we can just talk about him a little bit more, since that is his last football game he'll play. What type of player is he, and what does he bring for you, or did he bring for you?
Yeah, Sam is, he was specifically on our defensive line, and Sam brought a motor that, last year as a sophomore, we noticed in practice that it didn't matter how hot it was, or what time of day it was, or how long we've been out there for practice, Sam was still going 100%, and actually caused a lot of problems for the offensive line trying to block him. And we had a good offensive line last year that was trying to chase him around the practice field. So we knew he had some good things in store for him in the future, and unfortunately we're going to have to put it on hold for a little while.
Well, we're wishing him the best of luck and a speedy recovery, I guess, and a big senior season next year. Coming back to this year and the week ahead for you guys, you're playing a very good team in Grand Island, a top 3 or 4 team in Class A. What do you expect to see from the Islanders, and what's the game plan going in, and what do you need to do?
Grand Island's always very well coached. I mean, if you watch on the offensive side, watching their defense, you're just amazed at how technically sound they are. All their reads, all their keys, they seem to be spot on every single play. You don't fool them in any way. They're big, they're fast, they're strong, so they're physical, and so that's exactly what you want in a football team. And so it's going to be a good challenge for our kids to go out there. And although we've taken steps forward throughout the year, this one's going to be, we're going to have to take a big step to match up with Grand Island. Defensively, on the defensive side of the ball, looking at their offense, they try to confuse you. They put a lot of different formations out there. They do a number of motions, a number of shifts. They don't run that many plays, but they got a good quarterback. They have big, physical, speedy receivers that they're trying to find the matchups out there that you have an outside linebacker on their number one receiver, and they're going to exploit it. And it might take them 2 or 3 series, but it seems so far this year they found those, and we saw it twice last year as we played them twice last year in the regular season and in the playoffs.
So what is the mantra? I mean, going off that you've had this week in practice, you're 0-3, you have a young team though, and you had 2 very tough games and traveling to start the season. So how do you keep your players up? Are they still being positive as they head into this big game?
Well, the biggest thing, and I know we mentioned it before, is that we're focusing on us. We got to worry about, getting better every single day. And if we can focus on that, we can see the progress. And yes, we got a game plan for Grand Island, and we prepare for Grand Island every day. We're running their plays, running their formations. But at the same time, it's about coaching our kids up individually, taking the time out of practice and slowing things down and talking to the kids and talking them through situations. It might not have anything to do with the play at hand. It might have something to do with the situation that may pop up in a game and basically how much time's on the clock, what should we do here, those types of things, to try to teach them as much football as we can at this point. And those kids, they're still eager to learn. And as long as they're doing that, this football team is going to continue to move forward.
All right, Coach. Well, as always, we thank you for stopping in. Wishing you the best of luck against Grand Island this week.
All right, thank you.
And that wraps up this first segment of Coach's Corner here on ColumbusNewsTeam.com. Stay with us. We'll be right back with head coach Tyler Linder and the Scotus Shamrocks. And welcome back to our second segment of Coach's Corner here on ColumbusNewsTeam.com. With me is head coach for the Scotus Shamrocks, Tyler Linder, as you guys prepare for another big game, imagine that, with Pierce. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we talked about Pierce, a very good team. We're not going to talk about them yet, though, even though I brought them up. We're going to talk about this last week. Central City, you went for your first away game and faced an air attack team in the Bison, but came out with another win. You guys are sitting at 3-0.
Yeah, I think we went into week 3 battling a really good opponent in Central City. They had a phenomenal quarterback in Mitch Carlson, and we knew he could throw the deep ball. So we wanted to establish a running game and try to run the clock out as much as possible and put a lot of pressure on him at the quarterback spot to force quick throws. And so, I think our game plan worked, and we came out of Central City in week 3 with another victory.
Bailey Pelser there had a big run. No surprise, he was running all over there that game. Defensively, though, so it seems like you guys got after it as well, which is always something you like to see.
Yeah, we put a lot on our secondary's plate this week. We told them that if we're going to be a successful team, you guys have to win the game for us, and I think they showed up. We kept Carlson in check. He only completed about a third of his passes, and we were able to get great pressure with our front six. So, very happy with what we were able to do defensively.
Also offensively, they threw it quite a bit more, obviously. That's what you would expect, but you aired it out quite a bit too. Not on this play. Marcus Dodson, that is, on paper, your backup fullback.
Yeah. On paper, Marcus is our number 2, but it's, between him and Jake, it's I don't even like saying 1A and 1B because they're a great dynamic duo. And right here you see Jake Boss getting a great block downfield. They do great things for us. I'm very, very excited about our 2 fullbacks, and we're extremely blessed to have the guys that we have. We got Dalton Taylor here, who's a threat. You mentioned that we were able to air it out a little bit, and we had 2 passing touchdowns the other night. It was something that is pretty uncharacteristic of Scotus to throw the ball. But I saw some nice things. Again, Dalton Taylor comes down here, and Brady had a nice game throwing the ball. He threw 1 interception, but that was and if he definitely want that one back. But I'm very pleased with holistically our entire team. I think offense, defense, and special teams had a great game last Friday.
Again, Elster ripping one off here towards the end of the game. What was the score at this point? Do you remember? I know it's hard to say, but you guys won handily.
Yeah, we won real. It was a great battle. We went into halftime, only giving up 7 points. Then we gave them another 7 in the second half, and then their backups put on another 7 points against our backups. So we gave up 21 points, but we were able to obviously put up a few more than them. So I'm very happy. We had over 600 yards of total offense. We kept their offense in check with our defense, and special teams. We had some big plays. There were some great hits. We faked a punt, which is pretty uncharacteristic of us too. We're known to be a pretty conservative team, but when the time's right, we're willing to dial some of those things up.
You saw those highlights of Dalton Taylor as well at the receiver end getting 2 touchdowns. Is that a situation now that he's a junior, correct, that he's just developing as a player and you may start airing it out a little more even though running is your MO?
Yeah, he's definitely got our confidence. We know that if we throw him the ball out there that he's going to, he's got a great likelihood of coming down with it. And we're getting a little bit more confident not only in Dalton but also in our quarterback play and our line play. You can't throw balls downfield unless you got a line in front of you that's blocking it. So, you have to be firing on all cylinders in order to connect with some of those passes, and I'm really confident. I think it'll be our play action passing game going into Pierce week is going to be big for us.
And speaking of Pierce, another away trip up to a top 5 opponent in Class C1. So they're 3-0, you're 3-0. You've had some big battles with them in your 1 year, I guess, last year with them, but you've also been on the coaching staff. What do you expect to see from the Bluejays? What do they bring?
They're a great team. They're very well coached. Coach Bramer's got he's a state championship coach. He's got a state title under his belt, and they're just a very well coached and aggressive football team. They've got a great running back combo, the fullback running back combo, and Freeman is the real deal. They're running back number 4. He has put up some great numbers, and he's very, very fast. And so their backfield is as good as we're going to see all year. So our defense definitely has to show up on Friday night.
Out at practice yesterday on Wednesday, and you're working on a lot of schemes and offensive sort of positioning for Pierce. I talked to you last year. They run a lot of smoke and mirrors, as you like to say. So how does that affect your game plan going in, where they try to trick you with their formations and motion? Yeah,
we try to just boil it down to a very, very basic level. A lot of what we do to prepare for Pierce is just lining up their offensive linemen and reading their offensive linemen. We don't try to put a lot of backs in the backfield to try to confuse us. We want to be good, but with our front 6 or front 8. And so they will run about 10 plays out of about 40 different formations. And so if you can just focus in on the 10 plays and not be confused by all the extra noise, we'll be in good shape. And I think our guys rallied behind that. We watched a ton of film. We had a great week of scout team play, and so we're definitely ready to put the pads on Friday night.
Speaking of Friday night, home games are usually more fun for a coach than away games. And I think you mentioned to me a couple of times that going up to Pierce is never a fun trip. What's it like up there when you're playing at the Bluejays home?
It's a hostile environment. I think their field is a very unique field. It's kind of nestled in behind their school. There's trees all around it, so it is kind of an intimidating place to play. But when the lights come on, it doesn't matter what surface we're on or where we're at. We're just ready to play Scotus football.
All right, Coach. Well, what do you tell the players going into this game? Obviously, this is the 3rd-ranked opponent in 4 weeks to start things off. It's probably the same mantra as always, but you guys really haven't had much of a break. You're playing good teams every single week.
I tell it to our guys, and I tell it to the media all the time that we just have to be us, and we have to perfect our game and perfect our craft. So, our guys are really chasing a perfect game. We've had a lot of penalties this year and they're just silly penalties that we have to clean up. And so we've kind of emphasized a mistake-free environment this week, that we can't be our own worst enemy this week. We got to be our best friend. So if we put ourselves in a position to be successful, I have no doubt that we will come out successful.
All right, Coach. Well, as always, wishing you the best of luck into a 4-0 record after Friday night.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
That was head coach Tyler Linder with the Scotus Shamrocks as he prepares his team to head up to Pierce and take on another undefeated team in the Bluejays. I'm Brandon Axmit, wrapping up this segment of Coach's Corner. We'll be back with Lakeview head coach Kurt Frenzen right after this. And welcome back to our 3rd and final segment of this week's edition of Coach's Corner on ColumbusNewsTeam.com. Our marquee segment for our game of the week, which will be Lakeview against Wayne. Kurt Frenzen, Lakeview head coach, thanks for stopping in.
Yeah, we're really excited to get going this week after getting a win last week against Kearney Catholic. It provides another opportunity for us to get back in the win column and hopefully get our season to 500 this next week.
Well, Coach, 1-2, we talked about it on your segment last week on the show. You get that win against Kearney Catholic, a team that went to the semifinals. You say this really could be sort of the catalyst that gets this season going as you make a playoff push. What went on in that game? What did you like? It appeared you played a complete game against a good team.
Yeah, the first 2 games we just couldn't put it together on both sides of the ball and in special teams, and we fell against Kearney Catholic. We had big plays in all 3 phases. The big thing for us was that on defense, I felt like we played all night long downhill and we really got into people. And you can see here just the pursuit of the football started early for us, and Connor Wardeman and Trey Shanks were around the ball a lot that night. Jack Reed came in as a sophomore and played some good ball for us, got some things going, but Trey Shanks was another big play for us defensively. Kearney Catholic has a really good sophomore quarterback, and he can throw it around, but we had great defense in the secondary like that from Chase Lindbergh. Then again up front, we had solid performance out of our interior linemen, a defensive tackle, Noah Duncan, and Zach Kobza. So just really good, solid performance. Dylan Johnson came out and read really well, and Austin Foltz, huge night receiving for us. I think he had 7 receptions for 120-some yards, and Chase Lindbergh's always a threat on the edge, and then also with Trent Roth. Trent Roth had a huge night, had over 140 yards of rushing yards for us, and just really came through. Nice play there that you saw by DJ, getting the read and going to Austin Foltz. And our first score came on Trent Roth right here from over 20 yards out. Just a good, tough run around the right side. And Trent did a great job. We had some great perimeter blocking as well. We were tough in the red zone all night long and made them earn a lot of things. And then on the other side of that, we were able to move the ball down in the red zone and get points. That catch right there by Austin, pass by DJ, set us up for an end-of-the-half field goal. And then we came back through and just big hits all night long, just like that one from Jordan Jansen. Then again, went back to Trent Roth on some jet plays, and he just did a great job. He's a great reader. When he runs the ball, he can really find seams and get through on it. Huge play for us on special teams right here by Juan Valdivia. We had stripped by Jared Blaza and I believe Dakota Prorock, and then Juan Valdivia came up with a big fumble recovery. Then again, it was a common theme that night, Dylan Johnson to Austin Foltz for the touchdown. Kearney Catholic, tried to come back and get some things done. We just continued to keep answering on defense and have big plays all night long. Austin Foltz, Nolan Duncan, again, big plays for us. And then at the end of the game, this is our go-ahead score. Unbelievable run by Trey Shanks. They kind of had him bottled up, and he broke 3 or 4 tackles. The end zone view was amazing on that. So just a great effort by him and get the lead back. And then they came back on the ensuing kickoff and returned it deep into our territory. We had to have a goal line stand to keep them out. But I was really happy with how our kids responded. But again, in all 3 phases.
What does that do for your team? You're telling them week 1, week 2, we're a good enough team to do this, and then they finally see that translate on the field.
Yeah, we're a good football team. We're good all the way across the board. And we're not great in one area. I don't think our special teams are great. I don't think our defense is great yet. I don't think our offense is great yet. We have potential to get there, but we're going to have to play extremely well to get in a great area. Our athletes are good athletes. We have very good athletes. I don't know if we have anybody that's great. We don't have D1 prospects running around. But we're a good enough football team. When we put it all together and we're all going the same direction, that includes coaches and players and trainers and parents and everything else, we can play with anybody in the state, and then not only play with them, we feel like we can beat them.
And I was talking to you, looking forward now to Wayne and who you have this week. What do you expect to see from Wayne? And again, practice, with that confidence boost, with that win under their belt, heading into another big game against a good Wayne team.
Well, it's our homecoming this week, so obviously there are always concerns about where their focus has been, but I feel like our focus has been pretty good. I think they've approached it, well, it's just another week. There'll be a dance on Saturday night. We're going to crown a king and queen after the game on Friday, but up until the end of that game on Friday, it's just another week for us. And so I've been pleased with where their focus has been.
And what do the Blue Devils bring, scouting report-wise? Who do you need to key on or look out for offensively and defensively?
Well, first and foremost offensively, they have a sophomore quarterback that's very dangerous. He throws the ball really well, and he's very elusive. We don't stay in our pass rush quadrants, he's going to get loose on us and make us pay. I wouldn't call him, a 4-flat 40 guy or anything like that, but he's fast, and definitely you can tell he's under 5 flat, and he's elusive in space. So we're going to have to keep him bottled up the best we can and get some heat on him when we can. We're going to have to get some turnovers. We got to get plus in turnover ratio. That was a big part of the game that we haven't talked about yet against Kearney Catholic. They were plus 2 or 3 in a turnover ratio last week. We're going to have to get to that again. So defensively, they're not fancy, but what they do, I think they do extremely well. Coach has done a great job of really, hey, this is our identity, this is who we're going to be, and we're going to be really good at it. And with a little luck, they would have been 3-0 right now. Offensively, we got to continue what we've done the last 2 weeks, and actually probably about the last 7 quarters. You take the first quarter out against Boone, and boy, we've looked pretty good on offense. We've moved the ball against some really good defenses. We've taken care of the football. We've had hustle plays. We're blocking downfield. We're making, turning out first downs. We're not just living, dying on the big play. We're getting 4 or 5 yards a pop, and then by the fourth quarter, those are turning into bigger gains. We got to continue to do that. Continue to develop depth in the offensive line we have. Right now, I would consider our offense a running back by committee. At our H spot, Trent Roth starts and Chase Lindbergh rotates in for him. Those two are doing a great job sharing the wealth and really being good teammates. Trey Shanks and Jordan Jansen are rotating at fullback. So by committee, those 4 guys, I just feel good about the spot they're in, and then I think our receiving core is improving every week. Special teams, we need to score on special teams. We either need to get field goals or we need to get an explosive play and return game or get a turnover at some point in time. If we can do those things, we're going to be happy on our homecoming night, and again, get to that 500 mark will be huge at this point in the season.
All right, Coach. Well, Friday night homecoming, very much looking forward to broadcasting that game and hopefully another Lakeview win.
It's always a great atmosphere for homecoming, but get the game televised like this and have you guys out there adds a little something extra to it. You guys do a great job with the telecast, and I know our community members really appreciate all that you do.
That's Coach Kurt Frenzen for the Lakeview Vikings. Homecoming game on Friday night on ColumbusNewsTeam.com. The Vikings hosting Wayne, looking for a big game under the Friday night lights. That wraps up this week's edition of Coach's Corner here on ColumbusNewsTeam.com. I'm Brandon Axmit. We'll catch you next week.